If you think you know what it's like to get laid off, I want you to just hit pause on that thought. Seriously, whatever you saw your parents go through, or even what it was like a few years ago, that's not the world we live in anymore. The game has changed, the rules are totally different, and honestly, understanding this new reality is absolutely critical. So let's dive in and see what's really going on.
You know how it starts? It's always so sudden, isn't it? It's a Tuesday morning. You're on some boring video call, probably sipping coffee, and then pop. You see it, that little notification for a calendar invite. The subject is just vague. Something like quick sync, and right then, your stomach just drops. You know.
And then, boom, it's over. I mean, literally minutes later, you're locked out of everything. Slack, email, your files, all gone. Your access is just revoked. Before your brain can even catch up to what just happened, your entire digital life at that company has been completely erased. See, this isn't a conversation. It's just a switch being flicked. This exact thing just happened to a guy named Keon. He's 38, a super skilled software engineer, and by pretty much any measure, he's doing great. He's got a wife, 2 kids, and a life he thought was, secure. Keon is going to be our guide through this whole new landscape.
Okay, so this is where that feeling of security starts to just disintegrate. Keon makes a great salary, right? $140,000 a year. But with a mortgage payment, childcare, just life, his emergency fund is $9,000. That sounds like a lot, but for his family, it's less than 2 months of actual expenses. That cushion he thought he had, it's about to vanish in the blink of an eye.
So just like that, Keon is unemployed. And the first thing he's about to slam into is an economy that, on the surface, looks totally fine, but underneath, it's fundamentally different. He's about to find out that those headline numbers we all hear on the news are telling a story that has almost nothing to do with his reality.
And this right here, this is the core of the problem. You look at the unemployment rate, it's 4.3%. That sounds pretty healthy, right? But then you look at the hiring rate, and it has absolutely collapsed to a record low of 3.1%. Economists have a fancy term for this, low hire, low fire equilibrium. But let me translate that for you. It means if you have a job, you're probably safe. But if you lose it, good luck. The door to get back in is basically painted on the wall.
So how long does it take to find that next job in this new market? Well, the new average is 25.7 weeks. Let that sink in. That's not a few weeks. That is almost 6 months. We're talking half a year with barely any income, trying to find a door that isn't locked shut. Oh, and it gets worse. A lot of the jobs Keon is applying to, they don't even exist. It turns out that about 1 in every 5 job listings online are what they call ghost jobs, postings that companies put up with zero intention of actually filling. So he's pouring all this time and hope into applications that are literally going nowhere. So let's check in. 5 weeks have gone by. Keon has sent out 78 applications. And what does he have to show for it? 3 responses. And yet, 2 of those were just the automated thanks but no thanks emails. That is the brutal, soul-crushing math of the new job search. Okay, so the job market is a nightmare. We've established that. But what about the safety net? There are supposed to be systems to help people like Keon, right? Well, this is where the story gets even scarier, because the support systems that we all kind of assume will be there for us, they've quietly disappeared.
For starters, unemployment insurance has pretty much turned into a lottery, and it all depends on your zip code. If you lose your job in Washington state, you might get over $1,000 a week. Awesome. But if you're in Mississippi, you get $235. It's the same job loss, the same person, but a totally different, life-altering outcome. Keon happens to live in Texas, so his lottery ticket gets him a max benefit of $560 a week. That replaces just 20% of his old salary. I mean, it's not even enough to cover his mortgage, let alone everything else.
But the real knockout punch? It's healthcare. Just a year ago, because of these enhanced government subsidies, a decent family plan on the health insurance marketplace costs less than $900 for the whole year. It was affordable. For so many people, it was a lifeline. But those subsidies, they expired on January 1st, 2026. They just went away. So now, when Keon goes to get that same insurance for his family, the quote is over $26,000 a year. That is more than a new car every single year just to keep his family insured after losing his job. It's insane. And this is the moment. This is the inflection point where families are forced to make these impossible choices. Decisions that are all about short-term survival, but have absolutely devastating consequences down the road.
The moves Keon has to make now, they're not just going to affect his next few months. They could echo for decades.
Just look at the raw math here. You take his unemployment check, you add in what his wife, Jana, makes part-time, and their total income is $3,800 a month. Their basic core expenses are $7,800. That means they are burning through $4,000 more than they make every single month.
So what do you do? Well, like millions of people, Keon looks at his 401k. He thinks, okay, I'll pull out 25 grand just to buy us some time. But this is the trap. First, after taxes and penalties, that $25,000 turns into only $15,000 in cash. But the real cost, the truly staggering part, that money, if he just left it alone to grow, would have become $136,000 by the time he retired. He's not just paying a fee, he is literally stealing from his future self.
And this just says it all, doesn't it? It's not about a gap in your resume anymore. It's about a massive hole being punched in your future. The damage isn't temporary. It's this compounding financial wound that makes it harder to save, harder to invest, harder to ever really, truly catch up again.
So, if the job market is frozen solid and the safety net we all counted on is gone, what do you do? What's left? The hard truth in 2026 is this. The only safety net you can truly rely on is the one you build for yourself, long before you ever get that calendar invite.
I mean, just think about all the support programs that were around just a few years ago. The help with healthcare, the student loan pause, the extra tax credits. They weren't killed off in some big dramatic vote in Congress. They were just allowed to expire. One by one, they quietly faded away. And now, they're all gone.
The good news is Keon does eventually find a job. The bad news? It takes 8 long months. And the new job pays $22,000 a year less than his old one. So yeah, he's back to work, but he's already starting from way behind, trying to rebuild his life from a much lower starting line.
Now, there's a name for this. It's called wage scarring. It's this permanent dip in your earnings potential that happens after you've been laid off. For Keon, that first $22,000 pay cut, when you compound it over the rest of his career, it could cost him $500,000 in wealth he'll never get back. It's a scar that might never, ever fully fade.
And really, that brings us back to the only question that matters. All that boring stuff, saving money, preparing for the worst when things are good, that's not just financial advice anymore. It's the only thing that can protect you. The next 9:47 a.m. calendar invite is out there. It's coming. For someone. The only question is, have you built your door?